Okay, I should be live. Cool. Okay, so... Oh, hey Chris. Um, so for anyone and everyone who's watching right now, this is a live stream where y'all can ask anything you want about mental health, abuse, how to get out of an abusive household, what to do, where to go, and anything you need in regards to information about mental health, you can ask here. I am not a medical professional, so there's only so many answers I can give you. But I can do the best I can at providing you with responsible and accurate information. So yeah, welcome to the stream. We have got 2 people here. Cool. Um, Quick reminder, this live stream is to raise money for Mint Heart. Link to her GoFundMe in the description. We recently got a $1,000 donation, which is fucking insane. First of all, holy shit. Whoever did that donation, if you are watching this, thank you. From the bottom of my heart. There is nothing I can say that can truly, like, capture the amount of gratitude I have. I don't think there are words to describe the amount of gratitude I have for someone who could be so kind as to do that. So, okay, Chris, that joke is ridiculous. Michelle asks, can someone still be abusive even if they give you gifts and provide for you? Yes. Absolutely. Just because there are moments of kindness doesn't mean that toxicity doesn't exist. This is actually a common problem that people with abusive parents deal with. It's very common for parents to be, like, a mixed amount of toxic and generous, and that can make people scared and uncomfortable. That can feel weird. Um, a lot of people with abusive parents feel conflicted because, yeah, my mom is a bad person, but she brought me Chipotle last week. Or, yeah, my dad is kind of abusive, but he also takes me out to baseball games with him. Or he also takes me out to the park, or takes me hunting with him. Or maybe your mom likes to take you on shopping runs to the mall, or sits in the backyard with you and the dogs. People can be abusive and still be nice to you. And that's often really conflicting for people who have experienced abuse. So yeah, that's legit something that happens, and it is perfectly normal to feel conflicted and uncomfortable because of it. Those gifts could just be bribery not to leave them. That's what it is sometimes. That's not uncommon. I'm just spreading the link to the stream around real quick. I've got music stuck in my head. Jesus Christ. Your shirt reminds me of a universed icon from Kingdom Hearts. Master the Art. I've always been shocked, saddened by the number of times I've heard about abuse victims defending their abusers. Like with that BuzzFeed Unsolved episode. Yeah, unfortunately, it's common for abuse victims to... How do I put this gently? If an abuse victim is mocked or dehumanized because of the fact that they were abused, if people tell them that they let themselves be abused. If any of you see South Park, if any of you watch South Park, there was an episode where Heidi and Cartman are dating, and when they break up, all of the girls in the school make fun of Heidi because she dated Cartman, and that mockery sent her into a defensive spiral. People don't like when you make fun of their choices. She already felt bad enough, but to be mocked openly about that can push a person to double down. That's why it's important to be patient with people who have been abused, and do not ever mock them for falling for somebody's abusive behavior, because it is never their fault, and you should know that. By openly demeaning or mocking abuse victims, we push them to defend themselves. And sometimes that means doubling down on the abuser. But also sometimes people are genuinely in love with their abuser, and that can hurt. That can be very unhealthy. Sometimes people don't recognize that they're being abused at all, and that's also a common problem. I'm going to be reminding you guys a lot of this throughout the stream. I am not a doctor. I just need to make sure that you guys know that. I'm not a doctor. This is just my perspective and advice as someone who studies psychology, who used to be in college in this field, and who wants to spread information for people to better understand what abuse is like. Mr. Cartoon Movie Makers, I hope you raised enough money to get out of abuse. I am not the one who needs to get out. This is for Mint Heart. This fundraiser is to raise money for Emily. And she is still, unfortunately, living with her mother. We are working to fix that. There is a lot that is being worked on behind the scenes that I have to be very quiet about, to not put Emily through any more stress. But yeah, we're working on it. Bullet Xena says, do you think Cinderella is a good representation of an abuse victim in any way? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because not every abuse survivor has the strength to get out of their situation on their own. And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with needing help. She got help from her fairy godmother, she got help from the prince, and she got out because she was able to accept help from others. There is never anything wrong with accepting help. Ever. If you need help and you have the strength to accept it from others, that's all the better for you. Because strength doesn't just come from being able to take care of yourself. True strength comes from being able to recognize where you are weak and improve or ask for help. That's something that people need to take to heart, especially these days. There seems to be this idea that you need to do everything on your own, but that is not the case. There is absolutely nothing wrong with accepting help from others, getting out, and recovering. I'm just gonna take this brief quell between the questions to let you guys know that there are links in the description of the live stream to information on trauma and mental health, so that those of you that want to do some research on this subject, you can go and look at those links. Feel free to share them around so that people that you love can have access to that information. Master of the art. That's advice that applies to more than just abuse victims. Absolutely. I think you'll find that a lot of advice that's given to abuse victims on how to get out of a bad situation can apply to more than just abuse. Accepting help is something that people should be willing to do in all situations, not just in circumstances of domestic or familial abuse. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Ah, that one hurt. That one hurt the roof of my mouth. Ah, goddamn these fall allergies. Just dropping this link in a bunch of places. Alright, let's see if there's any new questions. Let's see, I really like your new design. Thank you! I wanted to update the aesthetic of the channel, just a little bit. Abuse, both physical, mental, and emotional abuse, hurts the victims. It's scary for the victims to even stand up to their attackers. They should know that they are not alone. Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be terrifying to stand up to your abusers, and it's not always safe to do so. I've seen firsthand what happens when you stand up to an abuser in a period of time where it is not safe to do so. And it takes a lot of courage to put yourself at risk just to stand up for yourself, but there is nothing wrong with staying quiet for your own safety. Just like when queer folks stay in the closet so that they won't be abused by their families, being quiet about your abuse around your parents and instead seeking help from outside is just as valid. There's nothing wrong with putting your safety and your health first. But do not be afraid to reach out to people. Do not be afraid to tell a counselor or a police officer or even just a close friend what's going on. Having people be aware of what's going on and the fact that you're being abused is to your favor every time. Every time. Because if something suspicious goes on, there is someone out there who knows that Oh, they're being abused. This is really suspicious. I should contact the police. Okay, I have to ask, how do you respond to bigots who say that people who abuse kids are in the right, not the victims? Thoughts? I cannot stand victim blamers. I cannot I cannot stand people like that. How can you look at a child, an innocent human being, someone who had no say in whether or not they existed, and say, "Oh, yeah, the people who created you have every right to treat you badly, even though it was their decision to create a living being." I cannot stand that kind of shit. At all. Are there any subtle abusive actions that can be hard to determine whether or not that person is abusive? Not all abusers do things intentionally. That's something that a lot of people struggle with is this person doing this on purpose? Like, unintentional gaslighting is a thing. If y'all remember earlier this year, Dr. Wolf and I had a disagreement, and he wasn't gaslighting me on purpose with how he talked to me about my anger and about my rage, but nonetheless, intentionally or not, he still gaslit me. So it's something people need to come to accept, that it doesn't matter if they did it on purpose. Toxic behavior is toxic behavior. Sometimes people are just stupid, but that doesn't mean that the abuse that they incur upon you is any less detrimental to your mental health. Is it possible to accidentally hurt someone without realizing it to the point you accidentally abuse them? Yes. Yes, it happens all the time. Some people are just either so distracted by their own behavior or just plain dumb or a little too selfish. Sometimes people just make mistakes and they don't realize that what they're doing is toxic. Like, I get consistently misgendered a lot because I am very feminine. I have a very soft feminine voice, I have prominent breasts, and I present in a feminine manner, so people often mistake me as a girl. They're not doing that on purpose. They're not intentionally trying to hurt me. It's a genuine mistake, but it's still toxic behavior. It still hurts me. They're not doing it on purpose, but they are still hurting me, and that's something that I often need to talk to people about. And I don't like to talk to people about it. I don't. It hurts me a lot when I have to tell someone, hey, this is really unhealthy for me, and I would appreciate if you cut it out. Because correcting people can hurt. It can feel like you're a bad person, but you are not. Asking for respect and asking people to cut out toxic and abusive behaviors is never selfish. You deserve to be treated with respect. I've been trying to get my girlfriend to understand that she shouldn't have to thank me for not being an abusive shit, that she doesn't deserve to be treated like shit in a relationship. Abuse survivors can sometimes develop low standards when it comes to relationships. I have this problem too. You will catch, if you hang out with me in real life, you will catch me thanking Damien all the time for just little normal things, like if he gives me a hug when he can tell that I'm sad, or if he reassures me that my gender identity is valid, or if he wants to just sit down and hold me when I'm feeling upset. Those are things that I end up thanking him profusely for, despite knowing that is just a normal, healthy behavior in a relationship. And it's going to take me a while to stop incessantly thanking him for that, because I'm still working on it. I'm still working on recovering and learning that I deserve to be treated like a person. I deserve to be treated with equality. I deserve to be loved. That is something that your girlfriend is going to have to learn on her own terms and on her own time. But being there for her and reassuring her that she doesn't need to thank you for being nice to her, that should be the bare minimum, is going to help. I can't believe Mintart's mom would be abusive to their own child. It just makes me sick. Unfortunately, a lot of parents that are unprepared to take care of a child, had a child young, or just are not stable as human beings, end up becoming abusive because they just don't know what to do. They have no idea what the right way to raise a child is. So they end up doing things that were done to them when they were growing up. And that's a pattern of behavior that needs to be stopped. We need to stop making people feel like they have to have kids, that if they don't have kids, they are a failure to society. Because forcing people who are not prepared or capable of raising children in a healthy manner can quite honestly just lead to a lot of generational abuse. Just checking in, how are you? Oh, hey Sega, I'm doing pretty okay. I just put up a new video showing everyone the new aesthetics for the channel, and I wanted to make sure I got this live stream done so that I could answer some questions and redirect people over to Mintheart's GoFundMe. Again, if you guys have any spare cash or are capable of sharing it, there is a link to Emily's GoFundMe in the description. Please share it around. Please, 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 please. We just got an incredible we just broke $4,000 on the live stream. We got a $1,000 donation literally overnight. I have no idea who did it, but if whoever did it is watching this live stream, thank you. Absolutely fucking thank you. Why must good people feel like shit while bad people feel good about themselves? The world isn't fair. The world is cruel, and people who are bad sometimes do bad things to people that don't deserve it. But that's why it's important to constantly fight for things to be fair. Life shouldn't be unfair, and it's up to us to make sure that future generations don't have to deal with as much shit as we did. Mintheart deserves staying with her mom. How do I know she's not just faking it? She's not faking it, because I was in a live stream with Misanthropony, Leo Convoy, Vita, and a couple other people, and we caught 45 minutes of her mother emotionally blackmailing and emotionally abusing Emily. We have record of it. We have evidence. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Leo Convoy might get mad at me for saying it, but we have recorded evidence of Emily's mother trying to blackmail her into lying to the police. We have recorded evidence that we have handed over to the police of her mother telling her to lie about the molestation to the police and say that it never happened, so that her mom wouldn't be inconvenienced by the investigation. That audio exists, and it is absolutely damnable. We've handed it over to police officers, and we've handed it over to the Department of Human Services, and they are looking into it. May I ask if a situation I was in for a long time was abusive? If not, that's okay. I also really enjoy your content. Thank you, Petal Prince. If you want to ask anything about abuse, just leave it in the feed and I will answer. It even if it's something personal like past relationships. Did you know Angel Love used to live with an abusive mother too? I found that out fairly recently, actually, and I do plan on doing an update video on the Angel Love situation with the new information I've been given. Is it possible for abused kids to become abusive parents themselves? I'd argue more often than not. Unfortunately, people with abusive parents who go untreated for a long time can develop toxic habits of their own. It's incredibly common and unfortunately very scary. The best way to mitigate that is to provide people with affordable and easily available psychological care. Weren't you once in an abusive situation, Patchwork? Yes, I was. I've been in multiple abusive relationships with bad ex-boyfriends and bad ex-girlfriends. I'm going to make videos talking about those in the future. I had a girlfriend for several years who I would date on and off that would threaten my friends and threaten to kill me and herself if I told anyone other than her that I loved them. My parents were physically abusive, and there's police records proving that my stepfather tried to kill me when I was a child. And I've had multiple sexually abusive boyfriends. Luckily, Damien is a far better person than anyone I've been with before. Want to know my folks' thoughts on Mint Heart's mom? Absolutely. I would love to hear what other parents think about the situation. Damn, Patrick, I'm sorry about that shit. Oh, I'm fine. I am seeking help. I am saving up so that I can start therapy soon. Her mom neglected her throughout most of her childhood and adolescence. It wasn't until she became pregnant at 14 with my sister that my grandma stopped being abusive toward her. Jesus Christ, please send please send your mother my love, because that is, I understand that your mother is not exactly the healthiest person and that you are trying to move out, but no one deserves to be abused. Absolutely no one. And I hope that your mother recovers and that she can become a healthier and more positive presence in your life. I hope that both of you can recover from your abuse and become stronger people, because you both deserve to recover and be happier. What the fuck, your stepfather tried to kill you? Yeah, I've talked about this openly for a long time. Something that you're taught when you're in therapy is, until you are able to talk about something bluntly and without hesitation, you will never be able to truly accept it. So, over the years, I have worked to try and be very blunt and open about the fact that I am an abuse survivor. Because if I can face it with a blasé amount of indiscriminate boredom, just, yeah, sure, I have a fucked up childhood, but I'm better now, it can help me stay more stable. But when I was 14, my stepfather, who is a violent alcoholic, strangled me and then attacked my mother in the kitchen. And there are police records to prove it. I can pull up his criminal record. I even remember the date. It was March 14th, 2011. About a week and a half before my birthday. And you guys can look it up. Brian Zdanowitz arrested March 14th, 2011 for 2 accounts of assault. If you don't believe me. That's his real name, too. And I'm not afraid to say it out loud. In fact, Mom, Brian, if you're watching this, I'm glad that I got out of there. I was in a relationship from the beginning of middle school to the first year of high school, and she kept calling me a girl, I'm a trans boy, and forced me into erotic roleplay and kept grabbing my uncontinued pedal. You don't even have to continue. That is abuse. That is explicitly abusive behavior, and your ex is a bad person. That is incredibly toxic. My sister's dad is currently in jail. My own dad stalked her in the months prior to their divorce. My first brother's dad cheated, and my current stepdad, Yeah, I understand, Sega. You have gone through a lot of hell, and I really hope you and Voice can move in together soon. Because I really genuinely think that that will improve your health and your stability a lot. Um, when was the last time you spoke to your real dad? I heard he's a nice guy. I actually talked to him a couple days ago. He messaged me saying that he doesn't have a lot of pictures of me as a kid. So I sent him just a ton of pictures of me between the ages of 5 and 17, because I have a lot of old pictures of myself that my mom gave me when I moved out. Alright, Ryan's getting banned. Goodbye, Ryan. Alright, Brian's been removed. Honestly, once my finances are fixed, I will donate money to the GoFundMe. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate every single one of you that have donated. Um, you're all wonderful people. Jill Nichols, I don't know who that is. Toon Critic is someone who sexually and emotionally manipulated me for several months, and then when he got bored with me, he threw me away. And he's a piece of garbage. And the brony community have completely just incinerated his connection to them because he's also a dirty pedophile. He is a sexual abuser. He he's preyed on multiple children. He has emotionally abused multiple people. He's a shitbag. Patch, I know you've heard stories of my ex, but is it okay if we bring it up to the stream? Absolutely. All questions about abuse and mental health are completely on the table. All of it. Oh, I think Lily talked about him on her channel. Yeah, Lily also shared my original video talking about my experiences with Toon. I can't donate, but I can spread the word. Please do. There's the link in the description. Grab it, post it everywhere. Tell people about what's going on with Minhart, because she deserves to get out of there. We are just under halfway to our goal. If we can get to 10K, then paying for the legal fees and the resources that Emily needs to get out of that house it should be cake once we have 10K. And I do promise you that it will get into her hands, because there are multiple people managing this situation who are being very strict with each other about this needs to get in Emily's hands. Anyone caught trying to steal this money from her will be reported to the police, basically. Any animated abuse characters you like? Harley Quinn is an abuse survivor character that I genuinely enjoy because she is competent, she is intelligent, and she got out. She got out. She is currently in a relationship with Pamela Isley, and she is getting her life back, and that is something that I'm very happy about. I love it when characters in comics and television and movies that are abuse survivors get a chance to take their life back. That is something that I think needs to be shown more in media. In the Injustice 2 game, there is a scene where Harley is confronted by a hallucination of the Joker and told that all of her decisions after his death and after their breakup were her just being a dumb child, and that she needs to come back to him and be evil again. And she tells him to fuck right off. You see her struggling with trying to fight off the urge to be Puddin's little Harley again. And seeing her overcome her trauma and be willing to look the face of her abuser in the eye and say, no one gets to tell me who I am but me anymore. I decide who I am, is something that's incredibly empowering. Does Emily live in Florida? No, I do not feel safe disclosing where she lives. I had been dating my ex-boyfriend for 18 months. He would grope and molest me in public and in front of his family. Only towards the end of our relationship did I realize he was sick. Unfortunately, when you're in a relationship with someone, you genuinely connect with them, it can be hard to... Would you fucking stop? If these notifications don't stop interrupting me, I am going to set this computer on fire. It's very common for people who, when they are actively in the relationship, to have difficulty noticing that the abuse is going on. But you got out of that relationship, and you are moving forward. Does suicidal count as a part of trauma? I've never been in an abusive home, but I did at one point think of killing myself because I was bullied to an instant that I couldn't take. Yes, bullying is a common form of emotional abuse, and being suicidal, being traumatized is incredibly common depending on the severity of the verbal abuse. In the movie Split, James McAvoy's character said the broken are more evolved. Would you agree? I think that romanticizing mental illness is incredibly unhealthy, and we should avoid that at all cost. Because mental health problems are problems. They are things that can get in the way of the health and stability of individuals. As someone with multiple diagnosed mental health disorders, Split pisses me the fuck off. Because not only does it romanticize the intellect of disabled people, but it demonizes mentally ill individuals as serial killers, kidnappers, and generally toxic individuals. I'm going to be doing a video later this month talking about how horror has negatively affected mentally ill people, because the trope of consistently making mentally ill and disabled people villains in horror movies, that has a negative effect on people in real life. The amount of toxicity that the media has shown towards people with antisocial personality disorder has led to people with that disorder having incredible difficulty accessing care. Psychologists will deny sociopaths medical treatment because of the fact that they have a mental health problem. And that is fucking infuriating. So I guess you're not seeing Glass then. No, I'm gonna see it. I'm just not gonna pay for it. A good example of hiding something out of fear of abuse is actually in X-Men 3, where Angel is trying to cut his wings off when his father... Yes, that is an excellent example of trying to hide something to avoid being abused. In fact, the X-Men are very commonly used as a metaphor for people of color and for queer people who are constantly trying to hide certain things about their identity for their own safety. Michaela, welcome to the stream, and yes, fuck Shyamalan. If it weren't for the fact that my ex is still trying to contact me through an unblockable number, I'd be fine. Report him to the police! Please! I hate cops, okay? I hate American police. And not as individuals. I hate the police structure. I hate the system because it is incredibly unbalanced. But there are benefits to police officers, and one of them is they can help you when you are being stalked. Because what you are describing, Sega, that is stalking. That is stalking. And it is absolutely unacceptable. Please, please contact the police. Please. Please. Get a new number, too. Change your phone number. Only give it to people you absolutely trust, who have no connection to this man. Holy shit, we have been streaming for 40 minutes. And we have gotten through a lot. So I'm going to take another break to remind you guys that there are articles on trauma, PTSD, and mental health in the description, and this stream is to raise money for Mint Heart. So please, if you have any money that you can donate, please pass it on to her because she could use it. She needs all the help she can get. Okay, I want to make an interview with you and Sega Sister about your experiences on abuse. Ben, I don't know if Sega is comfortable with that, but at a later time when my channel is stronger, I would be perfectly willing to do a discussion video with you about abuse and my experiences with it. Swag says, so I kind of recently in the last 9 months realized I was gender fluid. I've been bi for at least 7 years now, but the mental stuff that comes with it, I don't know how to cope with it sometimes. I think you're talking about dysphoria. There are ways to mitigate dysphoria when you are gender fluid. You can buy a binder or prosthetic breasts that you can wear depending on how you want to present. You can buy androgynous clothing, which is something that you can acquire. You can buy men's and women's clothing and mix them together. There are all sorts of ways you can present in androgynous ways as a gender fluid person that can help mitigate your dysphoria. I would suggest getting in contact with your local queer community and trying to get advice from other gender fluid people that can help you on your way to presenting and feeling more comfortable in your body. Do you think autism and ADHD should be counted as illnesses or something that just makes you different? Well, they're not illnesses. Even medically, they're not considered illnesses. Autism and ADHD are what's known as neurodiversity. They are neurodivergences because they are... mental illnesses are neurochemical. They have to do with chemical imbalances in the brain. But autism and ADHD are entirely affected by the structure of the brain. Oh my god, I hate these stupid notifications. For fuck's sake. Autism, ADHD, and other neurodiverse mental conditions are a result of how the brain develops in utero. What makes them disabilities is how society is structured, because our society is built to the benefit of neurotypical individuals. I was mugged 2 nights ago when I'm depressed. Someone choked me and took my phone and wallet. What should I do? First, Dark, report it to the police. Because there is a chance that they'll be able to help you get justice for what happened to you. Secondly, seek counseling, because untreated trauma can lead to brain decay. It can lead to literal shifts in your neurobiology, specifically damage to the amygdala. So please seek counseling to process through your trauma and contact the police. That is the best way to handle your situation. What do you think of the Trump administration's attempts to only make male and female genders on the gender discrimination title 9. I I think it's stupid. I think it's bullshit, and I'm absolutely furious about it. And I've been crying on and off for the past 2 days because I do not want the progress that I've made in my transition to be taken from me. I am terrified. So yeah. As an abuse survivor, I know how crippling PTSD can be, to the point where I have to avoid a whole town out of fear of being beat up by bigots, and I feel unsafe around places I used to love to go. Unfortunately, that is very common, but there are things that that professionals like psychologists, counselors, and neuroscientists, specifically neurochemists and neurologists, can give you. There are skills they can give you to help you mitigate your PTSD and work around it. So I would suggest reaching out to a professional, a real professional, someone who is licensed to treat people with PTSD, and start looking into ways you can work around your mental health problems. Because you deserve to be in control of your life. You deserve to be able to function on a relatively strong level. You deserve to overcome, and you deserve to be in a good place. Transphobia is so stupid. Like, people who are trans are literally trying to cure their mental illness. So, okay, being transgender has not been considered a mental health problem or a mental illness in years. I'm pretty sure in my dysphoria video I talked about this. Being transgender is not a mental illness, and it has not been considered a mental illness since 2003 to 2005, I think is the window of time when it was removed from the DSM-5. Gender dysphoria is considered a psychological condition, but it is also not a mental illness. One of my exes pressured me into sex once when she was in underage cosplay, and with my partner after that, I wasn't able to perform, and I'm worried about that happening again. Any advice? Counseling. Also, communicate with your partner. Be incredibly clear about your boundaries, and work slow into getting back into sexual intimacy. Also, seeing a relationship counselor, specifically a sexologist, to help you mitigate the trauma from being pressured into sex can help wonders. That's going to be something that I give a lot of you advice to do, is to see a professional, because they are incredibly helpful. There are people who are trained to help you through this, and I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, they just care because they're paid to care." That's the point. It's their job to take care of you. It's their job to help you. They are specially trained. And if you can afford to access mental health care, please look into getting it if you are a trauma survivor, because I promise you it will help. It may take a long time for you to start to feel the effects, but eventually you will get better, and you deserve that. And if you can't afford mental health care, there are free counseling services and support groups out there that can help you too. Please look into ways that you can help yourself, because you deserve that. I promise you, you deserve that. Are there any signs of an abusive person that I should watch out for? This is a complicated question because abusers are all very different. But the best way to tell if someone is abusing you is to look for gaslighting. If a person constantly tries to make you feel like your memory is faulty, or tries to make you feel like you are crazy or broken or defective, that is a common sign that you are being abused, because gaslighting is a technique that abusers often use to maintain their power over you. For example, those of you who were at Misanthropony's live stream, where we caught Emily's mother explicitly emotionally abusing and blackmailing her daughter, those of you there will have noted that she consistently told Emily that if she were to try to get emancipated, the judge would laugh at her, and that no one would take her seriously. That is a form of gaslighting. And it is incredibly dangerous, because gaslighting like that not only suppresses the victim's capacity to seek help, but it can also increase their risk of suicide. Thoughts on animal abuse? It's just as bad as any other kind. Abusers often do what they do because they want to feel powerful. They want to feel in control. They feel like they have no control over their lives, so they take it out on everybody else. Everybody. They want to hurt you. They want to make you feel weak so that they can control you and feel better about themselves. And animal abusers are exactly the same. Some of you who pay attention to drama channels might have heard about the Kiro the Wolf situation, and the community in the furry fandom of people who actively have sex with animals. They practice bestiality. There's no sugarcoating that. Animals cannot consent. That is rape, and it is animal abuse. And people who do that are disgusting. People who actively hurt smaller, weaker creatures in order to get off sexually are bad people. People who abuse animals in order to feel powerful are bad people. This should not be controversial. I was diagnosed with autism fairly recently, and while I've always been interested in it, I don't know how to feel now. It's almost like I'm bicultured. Do I feel angry at the R word when I'm in FL? Your relationship with slurs and with derogatory language is your own. I am not going to tell you how to feel about that word. I have friends who are disabled who actively use the R word a lot. And I mean a lot. And since the R word is something that actively triggers my anxiety, I ask them not to use it around me. And most of them adhere to that. And they are very considerate. But I'm not going to tell them to stop using that word altogether because it's a part of their dialogue, and their relationship with that word is different from mine. I don't like the R word. I don't like it at all. I hate it every bit as much as I hate the N word, because I feel like it puts people down and it demeans people. But I can't dictate how other people connect with language. Sometimes I forget that there are other countries that don't have universal mental health care. Yeah, it sucks to be in America right now, I'll be honest. To anyone who wants to become a parent, avoid religious parenting books, especially parenting books written by the Pearls. Parents who have followed their books' teaching have been found guilty of abuse, neglect, and even murder. Yeah, the Train Up Your Child series of books, as well as To Siri with Love, any sort of martyr parent book, stay away from. Those books will basically tell you to abuse and murder your own child. Do you think education on abuse will help people to act faster? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I think that that rudimentary level psychology needs to be taught in schools. I think it needs to be a mandatory course so that we can arm young adults and young teenagers with information on how to recognize abuse and mental health problems in order to reduce the propensity for suicide and general mental health instability in the population. Information. What is my catchphrase, everybody? Information is power. It is power. Information gives you strength. It is so important to have access to information about mental health, about abuse, about psychology, about medicine, about first aid, because that can save lives. It absolutely can save lives. I remember an article where a farmer was put on trial for having sex with one of his sheep, but he was acquitted because, and I'm not making this up, they couldn't get the sheep to testify. Jesus Christ! Jesus, tap dancing Christ. I just spread the word on my Twitter and DeviantArt. Thank you, Mr. Cartoon Movie Makers. I appreciate you spreading the GoFundMe around. I'm going to take another minute now, now that we're almost at the 1 hour mark, to let you guys know this is a stream to raise money for Mint Heart. It's not just to answer questions about abuse and mental health. It is also to raise money for Mint Heart's GoFundMe. We are just under the 5K mark. We are almost halfway there. Please, guys, keep up the enthusiasm to help this girl out, because Emily is a good kid. I have been in steady contact with her for several months now, and she's a good kid at heart. She loves people. She cares about her friends. She wants to have a good school life. She wants to graduate. She wants to have a good job. She wants to have a future, and you guys can give it to her. You guys can arm her with the capacity to escape. So please, 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 please donate. And if you can't donate, then spread it around everywhere. I want it in the hands of every person that you can pass it to, so that someone who can donate can see it and give their money to this cause. Because this child deserves better than to live with a woman who would rather choose a pedophile over her own daughter. Please. I've been hearing parts of my country are having mandatory consent courses, and I'm so proud. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Abstinence-only education does not teach children how consent works. And consent doesn't just apply to sex, it also applies to bodily autonomy. So it's so important for us to be able to teach kids about the autonomy they have over their body and their right to say no, and what yes looks like. So that is awesome. I am so glad that your school is providing that kind of education. We need better education on gender identity and sexuality too. My middle school and high school had one day on sex ed, and it just covered safe sex, nothing else. Yes! Oh my god! I am so glad that these are the kind of people that came to this stream. I am so proud of all of you for having these stances, because being progressive about our education, being willing to give future generations more information than what we got, is so important, and I am so glad that so many of you are in a position where you support arming these kids with information, telling them being gay isn't a fetish, and telling them being transgender isn't a fetish, it's an identity. Arming these kids with information so that they can feel comfortable in their own bodies, being able to control and consent to what they want to consent to, and deny consent to things that they're not comfortable with, and arming them with information about, like, there is more than just straight people. All of that is so fucking important, and I am so glad that you guys are in support of it. Abstinence-only education also leads to higher teen pregnancy rates. Oh yeah, it leads to increases in sexual assault, teen pregnancy. It's bad. I'm probably gonna have to do a video on abstinence-only education and why it's flawed. I might do that in November. Yeah, that sounds like a good time to do that. The sheep thing reminded me of a time a group of rats were eating a heck ton of grain, and a man tried to get the rats on trial so he could kill them, but I don't remember. That's ridiculous. To be honest, my childhood sex education was so bad I didn't know how sex worked between every gender until I got a little too far online at 2 a.m. Yeah, unfortunately, sex education in most countries, not just the US, is subpar to say the least. We are at 23 people watching right now. Holy shit, that's the most I've ever had in a live stream. Hey, everybody. I'm glad to have you all here. I did graduate in 2005 though, so it might be it's not. It's not better. It's not any better. I'm sorry. The world is still full of morons, unfortunately, which every single day it's same circus, different clowns. Unlike the other Mint Heart live streams I've done, I'm probably going to leave this footage up so that people can leave questions and ask more about what they want to know about abuse and mental health. Because I love arming you guys with information. You deserve to have access to it. Hey, Sam! I'm sorry to say this, but religious people hurt the LGBT people in many ways. Unfortunately, religious conservatives, specifically evangelists, do have a bad habit of using their religion as an excuse to discriminate. But there are religious people who are good. Those of you in the chat that don't know him, I have a friend named Leo Convoy, and he is, without a doubt, the sweetest person. He is basically like my older brother, and he is incredibly Christian. But he is also one of the most empowering people I know when it comes to my queerness. He does not give a shit about what anyone else thinks. He supports me, and he sees that it makes me happy to be myself. So he doesn't tell me that I'm gonna go to hell. He doesn't tell me that I'm a sinner and that I'm a degenerate. He just tells me that if I ever need to talk and if I'm ever hurting, that he's here for me. Because he cares, and there are people like that who exist. There is hope for humanity. There are people who are kind. Do you have any advice for people who have been abused or are being abused by people they once called friends? Reach out for help. Talk to someone who is not connected to the abuser in any way and tell them what's going on. Hello, Vita. If you're being abused, reaching out and asking for help is going to be your best bet at getting out of that situation. Also, it's going to be hard, but you need to hold on to the knowledge that you do not deserve to be abused. Doesn't matter what you did. Doesn't matter if you stole $1,000 from your parents. Doesn't matter if you punched a guy on the street for wearing an ugly shirt. You do not deserve to be abused. Abuse is, without a doubt, never acceptable. Bye, Chris. Males making out with males and females making out with females making out is just sick. Twist, let me just let you know that you sound like a salty ass bitch. Also, goodbye. What would you say is the best approach to helping an abuse victim if they're denying that it's abuse due to severe denial? The best thing you can do for someone in that situation is be open with them. Just straight up tell them, I think that the situation is unhealthy for you. I feel that you need to get out of this situation. I understand that you might not agree with me and that you might not be ready, but if you ever come to the conclusion that you are ready to leave, if you feel like you need help, I am here for you. I can give you the resources you need, and I'm always here for you when you figure out that what you're going through is not something you deserve. People who are homophobic are just jealous because they can't get with anyone. Go fuck yourself, Twist. This is supposed to be a live stream to help somebody, and your trolling is not appreciated. I see a lot of my younger female coworkers getting an outright verbal pummeling from their male counterparts and just smile and laugh at it. Is this supposed to be flirting? Is this systemic misogyny? Both. Sometimes guys do sexist shit as a means of flirting because they don't understand that girls aren't into that. So some guys are just assholes. Some guys are just assholes, and yeah, that's bullshit behavior. I'm always against dicking with a stream dedicated to helping someone out of something serious, time and place. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that the brony community gives too much of a shit that I'm trying to help a 16-year-old girl get out of an abusive household. I don't think that people give a shit whatsoever. Thank you for your kind words, Random. Speaking of the purpose of this stream, we are past the 1 hour mark, which means that this has been a relatively successful, just in length of time, stream. There have been no donations since it started though, so I'm going to ask again. Go into the description and please, 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 even if it's just $5, even if it's just $1, please donate to the GoFundMe. Please. I would appreciate it. I really would. And if you can't donate, then please spread it around so that people who can donate can see it. Quick, someone is being nice. Let's troll them to make us look better. That's how it works, right? With some dumbasses, it sure is. Do you think abusers who truly want to change, who understand they won't be forgiven anyway, but still want to change, deserve to change? Absolutely. If you have committed abusive acts before and you want to change, not because you want people to forgive you and like you again, but because you believe that you need to change, you should definitely seek help. If you've done something bad and you know that you've done something bad and you want to make up for it because you understand that you fucked up, then go for it. People like Toon, however, who would much rather get people to like him again than actually put effort into becoming a better person, people like that don't deserve forgiveness. Because they're not gonna change. They're gonna pretend to change. This might be off topic, but I love your new puppet. Thank you. I got tired of using the black and white bullshit and decided to give myself a full color OC. And as you can see, I has toe beans. I has toe beans. Where do you draw the line between forgivable and unforgivable in terms of abusive action? Or hell, even just actions in general if you want. Alright, here's where I draw the line. If you try to kill a child for any reason, that is unforgivable to me. Sexual abuse of a child is unforgivable to me. Sexual abuse of an adult is unforgivable to me. Sex trafficking, basically anything that violates someone's human rights is something that I consider unforgivable. Because the minute you violate someone's basic United Nations designated human rights, you aren't just an abuser. You're a monster. Because hurting people just for the sake of hurting people because you want to feel powerful, is disgusting. If someone genuinely made a mistake, if they say someone Vita, say you accidentally misgendered me. Say you accidentally misgendered me in front of your friends. A lot, and you did it very often. You would correct yourself when I told you, like, hey, no, those aren't my pronouns. And you'd apologize and say, oh yeah, I forgot, and then fix it. That's perfectly forgivable because you're not hurting me on purpose. You just messed up. And that's perfectly fine. It's okay to mess up, but when you are intentionally hurting people, when you are intentionally abusing people in order to make yourself feel big, in order to make yourself feel powerful because you feel entitled to it, that is when it is unforgivable. For example, those of you who are subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. I really would appreciate it. Those of you who are subscribed to my channel probably have seen my video, Martyr Mom to the Rescue, about the book To Siri with Love, and the mother who wants to have her son forcibly sterilized. That is part of where I draw the line. Because that's violating your child's autonomy and is probably sexual assault. You don't get to determine whether or not your child is allowed to have kids. You don't. That is not yours to decide. People like that who want to control other people because they feel entitled to that control, people like that don't deserve to be forgiven in my eyes. I have to ask a follow-up. You know about the guy who sexually assaulted that one woman and now the two of them go around telling their story. Do you forgive him or no? It's not up to me to forgive him. That's the thing. That's not my choice. It is up to the victim to determine whether or not the person who abused them can be forgiven. That is not something... I don't get to choose whether or not that man is redeemable. I can have my opinions. I still think he's a jackass. But I do think that it's not my... I don't get to tell that woman how to feel about her sexual predator. I don't get to tell her... I don't have any right to tell other abusers how to feel about... I don't get to tell other abuse victims how to feel about their abusers. I don't. No one does. No one does. It is up to the victim to decide how they feel. No one else. Which would be worse? Forcibly sterilizing your kid or forcibly impregnating your kid? They're both terrible. They're on equal terrible footing. You may have said this already, but will this be up on your channel after it's done? Sorry I got here late. Yeah, Isabel, it'll still be here. It will definitely still be here. Unlike the gaming live streams that I've been doing, this will stay up because I feel like it will have a wider appeal to my audience and therefore will be more likely to bring support to the GoFundMe. Abortion is even... No, it is not! Okay, Mr. Cartoon Movie Makers, that is one strike against you. We do not tell people what to do with their bodies on this channel. I understand why some people disagree with abortion, but we do not engage with that behavior here. That is not acceptable. Political question. What should I do if a family member dismisses my opinion on the president with phrases like brainwashing and mind control? Stop talking to them about politics. Stop engaging with that relative, because they are not going to listen to you. I would have said impregnation is worse. You're bringing a second life into the realm of... That's fair, because it affects more than one person. Because once that child is born, they are also a victim of... Once that child is born, they're also a victim of abuse, because they were conceived through sexual assault. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. My lungs are being weird. I get teased for owning a stuffed animal that I had since I was 3. Is it normal for me to keep him since... Yes, it's perfectly normal to... I collect stuffed animals as a hobby. There is nothing wrong with liking stuffed animals. Absolutely nothing wrong, and anyone who tells you otherwise is a jackass. Patch, we talked about this. You aren't allowed to die. Fight me, Alexis! Fight me! Fight me. I remember a video that went viral shortly after the election results of 2016 about a mom kicking out her 8-year-old kid because I heard about a similar story about a woman and her husband killing their child because they thought he was gay. You think if there was a device that could transfer unwanted pregnancies to the biological father and forced him to carry the baby, how fast do you think birth control would stop being a problem? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I think that, like, if everyone was intersex, a lot of sexual health problems would be solved. But unfortunately, intersex is considered an abnormality, despite intersex people being just as common as redheads, which is fucking stupid. God damn it! Why do people have to shit on anyone who is different? It's so annoying. You want to throw down? Yeah, fight me. Fight me IRL, bitch. I'll run you over with my goddamn wheelchair. Look, I want to bring this up about the fact of forgiveness. I agree with Patchwork on it's up to the victim to forgive, but as Sketchy puts it, forgiveness must be earned. Absolutely. 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 That should not be a controversial statement. Honestly, the whole situation with Toon Critic, with people saying, "Oh, we're going to forgive Zach for our own sake." No, forgiveness must be earned. Forgiveness is something that always needs to come from a desire to be forgiven from the perpetrator. It is not something that a victim should be forced to just give. Unfortunately, I am out of time. So I have got to go. Thank you to everyone that came to this live stream. We got an hour and 20 minutes in. Thank you all, and please, 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 please donate to the GoFundMe. I will be leaving this footage back up on the channel. If you guys have further questions about abuse and mental health, please leave them in the comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear your questions, and I want to answer them. I want to talk to you guys. And I will probably start doing these AMA streams like once a month or so. I love talking to you guys. So I'll see you guys later.